Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A 17-year-old male is fighting for life after being thrown from a car in a horror smash on the Bass Highway near Westbury. 11 people were involved in the crash, including 5 young children, with the scene described by police as one of the largest in memory.
2 17-year-old boys inside this Holden ute are behind a smash of staggering proportions. The youths, both from Gagebrook, were trying to overtake on the Bass Highway when they collided head-on with 3 other vehicles, including a petrol tanker.
One of the occupants of the ute has been thrown from the vehicle.
He is now fighting for life after being airlifted to Hobart in a critical condition, while the driver had to be cut from the wreckage and is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Chillingly, one of the pair's mobile phones had an incoming call as it lay on the road. But thankfully, it wasn't worse. One of the vehicles involved, a Toyota Land Cruiser, was carrying a family of 6, including 4 children aged under 12. While a Mazda contained a Deloraine mother and her 12-year-old son.
Luckily, no one has been killed at this point. Could have been way more serious.
The mother was taken to hospital with abdominal pain. The driver of the petrol tanker wasn't injured, nor were any of the children. Police describe this crash scene as one of the longest they've seen, with debris stretching hundreds of metres. It strongly reiterates the need for patience on our roads. The road was closed for 6 hours while investigations took place.
It's going to take some time to work out where vehicles were on the road, what speed was involved, whether alcohol and drugs may be involved.
The passenger thrown from the ute wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
And we turn to some breaking news now. Emergency services are currently on the scene of a serious 2-vehicle crash on the Midland Highway at Oatlands. The Westpac rescue helicopter has been deployed with 1 person believed to be in a serious condition. Traffic is being diverted through the town and motorists are advised to avoid the area just south of the High Street junction. A political feud has erupted on the back of yesterday's major border announcement. 2 governments aren't impressed, firing back at Peter Gutwin's travel bubble and questioning why anyone would want to travel to Tasmania.
Our so-called travel bubble has shrunk. Western Australia's Premier rejecting Peter Gutwin's welcome mat.
We're not doing that. We're not going to change the arrangements. We're going to protect West Australians.
To that, our Premier says our state is equally as safe, if not safer, than WA, ruffling feathers in Queensland too.
If I was in Tasmania, I'd be a lot more interested in coming here than any Queenslander would be in going there.
The backlash follows yesterday's announcement that South Australia, the Northern Territory and Western Australia will be welcome here in a fortnight, not including Queensland. The Deputy Premier coming out all guns blazing.
Look, I'm sure Tassie's a pretty place, but it's no Queensland. They've got no reef.
Reef or not, Peter Gutwin is protecting what we have, saying we have a long-term view on further border relaxations and one monitored weekly. Adding Mr Miles is entitled to his opinion, but it's obvious he didn't get out much pre-COVID. Local business representatives holding their breath for a local travel boom.
As long as we get more people into the state than people leave the state, we'll be well in front.
You know, we have a fantastic tourism offering, and now it's just a case of building that demand in those states and also working and building the access as well.
Understanding about the decisions, but disappointed.
So we're fully behind him, and you know the eastern seaboard is about 85% of our market, and we understand that that's the area that we need access into at the right time.
A fire sparked which only a vaccine can extinguish. Louise Huber, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, there are calls for submissions for an independent review into the COVID-19 outbreak on Tasmania's northwest coast. The review is set to look into the handling and response of a cluster of cases linked to the Northwest Regional Hospital in Burnie and the Ruby Princess cruise ship. It will be aided by public health, hospital and administration professionals. Submissions are open until August 14. A quick-thinking chef has managed to stop a blaze from spreading through a kitchen in a Hobart restaurant. Crews arrived to the ball and chain at around 11 a.m. to a fire from a malfunctioned deep fryer. The chef was already using fire extinguishers and blankets to help control the blaze. The damage is estimated at $5,000. A 40-year-old woman has had a close call after driving down an embankment into a river in southern Tasmania. Police say she lost control along Primrose Sands Road and ploughed her car into the Carlton River. But luckily, an off-duty firefighter from the area quickly pulled her out of the passenger window to safety. The woman managed to escape uninjured. Winter is never an easy time for those struggling on the street, but flow-on effects from the pandemic have made things tougher. One long-running service is adapting to keep up with demand from a spike in Tasmanians accessing help.
This service van pulling up, ready for a night's work. Volunteers hurrying to prepare meals to then take out to the cold streets of Hobart, as pressures from the COVID-19 pandemic creates more hungry mouths to feed.
We still get our regulars that unfortunately are living on the streets, but we also have seen an increase in people that might be slipping through the cracks of JobKeeper, job seeker. So they, especially early on, people that had lost their job.
The cooler months, always a busy time for Louis' van, run by Vinnie's. However, the past few months have been a struggle for more members of the community.
We've also seen a bit of an increase in temporary visa holders, so international students who are really struggling because they're sort of stuck here, and the help from their home country has evaporated.
There are other people coming along to the van who wouldn't have come before, so it makes me realise that we have a whole new clientele coming up, and that's a big worry.
Now, the service is adapting to keep up with the changing demand.
Usually we'd provide soup, sandwiches, pastries, bread and sort of winter clothing, but we've seen with the winter being so cold, we're trying really hard to now provide hot meals as well.
And is still pushing to operate its usual 6 nights a week.
We see a lot of people throughout the whole of southern Tasmania, and a lot of people rely on Louis' van, unfortunately, but it's great to sort of provide that service and help people.
Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
North Hobart has continued its barnstorming start to the season with a 34-point win over Lauderdale. Jai Menzies scored 3 majors for the D's, while Glenorchy has suffered a demoralising defeat, going down to Clarence by 78 points. And Launceston remains the in-form team of the competition, crushing Kingborough by 82.
Launceston's first goal was musica to the ears of Blues fans. Michael Musica snapping around the body to start the Blues' big dance. 30 seconds later, they had their second, and by the first break, the Tigers were 6 goals down. Lonnie skipper Mitch Thorpe was being served 6-pointers on a platter. There would be no blip in the buffet. Dylan Riley soared. Mitch Thorpe scored. He'd end up with 5 for the day. The Blues were able to roam free up forward and made the young Tigers pay. The home side wouldn't register a goal until the final quarter. Excitement machine Elijah Reardon had the honour. A sloppy clothesline gave Luke Graham the chance to seal a second for the Tigers, but it was merely a footnote in an 82-point thrashing. Clarence's new home at Richmond Oval provided a rich source of goals for the Roos. Oliver Preshaw booted 3 in the match, which amounted to a belting for Glenorchy. The Pies could manage just 1 goal for the game. It was Matthew Joseph who delivered. But Clarence, with 9 individual goal kickers, had an easy ride, 78-point winners. And North Hobart are easy beats no more. Troy Cunliffe delivered the knockout blow late in the game, but not before Phil Bellchambers tried a knockout of his own, flattening Jeff Fisher, the umpire taking his number. But Fisher hurt the Bombers where it mattered, spinning and weaving his way to a chest-thumping major. Jai Menzies icing the cake with his 3rd for the day in the dying minutes. The Demons home by 34 points, their 2nd win in a row. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
To soccer now, and Ulverston and University have had a 2-2 draw in the Women's Super League, while in the NPL, South Hobart has walked out of Wentworth Park with a 1-0 win over Clarence Zebras. It was a seesawing affair at Lightwood Park, with Kingborough's Jack Gates striking first before Riverside Olympics' Neil Sands equalised shortly after. It was then goal for goal throughout the clash, with Riverside scoring in the 84th minute and Kingborough again in the 86th to see the score settled at 3 goals apiece. To netball, and Kingston upset Arrows 43-37, while Cripps Waratah downed Karana 52-39 overnight. While in today's rematch of last year's grand final, the Northern Hawks had their redemption, downing defending champion Cavaliers at the Silverdome. The Hawks trailed by 3 points at half-time before fighting back to secure a 70-66 victory. The win sees the side jump to top spot on the table. And the Meander Valley's fiercest football rivalry has returned for the first time in nearly 40 years. The last time a Westbury side played Deloraine was in 1983. Today, Westbury, now known as the Meander Valley Suns, once again hosted their neighbouring foe in a heated contest. It wasn't to be for the home side though. Deloraine thumped the Suns by 150 points. The two sides usually play in different divisions, but the clash was made possible due to the NTFA combining its two divisions this year after some teams pulled out because of COVID-19.
Good evening. A high of 14 at Hobart today, Launceston and Devonport 13 and 12 in Burnie. Smithton, Lowhead and St Helens all reached a high of 13, 14 across Friendly Beaches and Strawn, Ooze 11. On the close-up, low cloud over the south and west of the state. Further out, mid to low level cloud covers southern Victoria and parts of South Australia, while a large area of cloud and thunderstorms cover most of New South Wales. Tomorrow shows a ridge of high pressure over Tasmania move towards the east as a cold front approaches the west of the state. Northwest to northeasterly winds tomorrow, 5 to 15 knots, swells up to 2.5 metres in the west and south and below 1 metre in the north. A strong wind warning is current for southwestern coastal waters from southeast Cape to Low Rocky Point. Tomorrow's forecast now, sunny and 14 across Hobart and Richmond, Ooze 13. In the north, Launceston, late rain, partly cloudy in Devonport, Deloraine 12. Burnie and Curry tomorrow, partly cloudy, mostly sunny in Strawn. Possible late rain about St Helens and Swansea and Whitemark reaching a high of 14. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast Monday, showers about the west, north and upper east coast. Tuesday fine with morning frost and light winds. And Wednesday showers about the west extending statewide. Capital cities, showers about Canberra and Brisbane tomorrow. Darwin a high of 33 and Melbourne expecting morning fog. And currently Hobart 10 and mostly cloudy, Launceston 7 looking partly cloudy and Devonport 7 and mostly cloudy. That's all for weather tonight, Rach.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that, Jackie. It was certainly a lovely mild day today. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow at 6. Bye for now.